Peace and blessing. I hope you guys are doing well. All praise to the Most High. All praise to our Millah King Yahushua Mashiach. For without him, where would we be? Today is a pretty cool day. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's the best day because I've seen better days, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna complain at all. Okay, I went out today because I had to go out and pick up some food. Of course, we know what they do, right? Came back, had this live scheduled, and I'm gonna stick to it. The title of this live that I want to talk about is My Testimony Revisited, subtitle An Oath Rejected. Now, if you guys have been following my channels, okay, I only have two channels. All right. I have Just Areas, where I started, and then I have this as a backup, which is now my newly, mostly used channel because Just Darius is compromised. I lost access to that channel before, and it took like maybe a year just to get that back, or a little bit over a year, I want to say. I think the last video I posted up on that was when I was in Moline, Illinois. Okay, I posted up what was going on and what was happening there. Right when I came back around that time, that's when my phone had gotten stolen. It was hacked, and then of course we know what happened after that. I lost access to my Google account. It was hell trying to get that back. And then all of a sudden, they allowed for me to get into it after a year, I want to say, and a half, close to 2 years. I know that. And then once I retrieved access to that channel again, it's interesting just to see, what was happening. You know, it's a lot that went on. That's why I don't post there anymore. I did for a little bit, and then I went ahead and bid that channel farewell. And those who were subscribed to that channel, you understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I made it plain the moment that I came up on YouTube was that I was not here to gain likes. I was not here to gain views. I was not here to push any type of doctrines or anything like that. I'm just here to tell you my story, my testimony, and to, even though I am mandated, just scripture wise, I am mandated to teach. But at the end of the day, that's not what I was ordained to do. So you don't see me up here trying to teach. Now, I didn't provided lessons and things like that, but that is conducive to everything that's going on. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just really what it is. But I want to talk about, my testimony because that's what's mostly important. I like to use myself as an example. You understand what I'm saying? I understand, like I said, once again, that we are all individually different people who are living um, different realities. You understand what I'm saying? These realities differ. You understand what I'm saying? Because a lot of folks don't understand that, you're not living your life. Well, some people are living their life for others, and some people are living their life through the lens of someone else's capture. And I told you that I'm not doing that. I'm living this life for Hamashiach as best as I possibly can, because that's what I know I'm supposed to be doing. Not to say that I'm not supposed to experience any level of bliss, or I'm not supposed to, meet any of the desires of my heart, because he told you that he will give you the desires of your heart. But at the end of the day, I understand where I am in my reality and what I have to do. Okay. So I've made this plain. I have to revisit this only because my story has never changed. It's going to remain intact. You understand what I'm saying? And that's one thing about me, is that I'm not going to add any exaggerations. I'm not going to add any embellishments. I'm going to tell you it the way that it happened. Okay. There's something I want to say before. Let me just set the tone first before I get into revisiting my testimony. I want to say this. There is something that starkly took place in 2018 as it pertains to this program and a lot of us who are in it. You understand what I'm saying? Not to say that everyone's targeting pretty much, jump started around that time, but I'm saying that there was a lot of us. For some reason, there was a wave, you understand, of us whose targeting did jumpstart in 2018. You understand what I'm saying? And it was something about that. I always say that, though. In my head, I'm just like, there's something about that to me. I've drawn, the parallels that I need to draw out of that, and gotten, the meanings and the symbolism behind that I need to get I may talk about that in this. I may talk about it in another. I don't know. But I just want to say that it has something to do with that because my targeting did jumpstart in 2018. I keep making that plain. In April of 2018 is when it started. I say late March to early April only because late March is actually when of that year, 2018, is when I feel like things were already put into motion, and it could have been before that. I feel like things may have been put into motion a lot earlier, but that's when, I guess, there was a tug on my spirit about a lot of the things that was going on, you know, that I couldn't fully grasp and I didn't understand, and I was being heavily spiritually attacked then, you understand? But like I said, I could not fully see the scope of things, in its entirety. And I did not know what was really truly going on. And it's interesting because I've always known about these things. I've always known about, the principalities and the rulers of darkness. I've always known about conspiracy. I've always known about, the scientist communities. I was a part of a lot of those when I was, very, I wouldn't say, I would just say that I was frequently using Facebook then. I was. I was frequently using Facebook then. So I was a part of a lot of scientific communities. I was a part of a lot of UFO, or just pseudoscientist communities and things like that. So, you know, that time was just different for me, at least. It just was. So I was made known to a lot of these things. It's just that I did not believe. You just don't believe this stuff until this stuff starts happening to you. You understand what I'm saying? 100%. And it's like I knew, but I guess I was just desensitized to it. And I didn't know the full scope of things. So 2018 um of April, okay, is when my targeting officially jump started. And I say that because that's when I was made known to it. That's when I was officially activated. Okay. Before that, I already told you guys, you understand, and I made that plain. You know, I was a vegan for 4 years. I told you guys that. There was a lot that took place with that alternate diet. And I told you guys that I am not a person who's against, veganism. What I'm against is doctrines. What I'm against is extremism. That's what I'm against. You understand? And deception as a whole. Okay. All of that, you understand, and who's pushing. That's what I'm saying. I'm not against it because at the end of the day, I still do eat some things vegan. Sometimes, some days I do eat vegan, some days I don't. You understand? But I'm not a vegan, anymore. But a lot happened with that alternative diet. To me, I feel like that's something that is not, in terms of longevity, for the long run, no, I would not recommend that diet. That's just me, though. A lot of vegans do not live that long, and that's just a fact. Okay. But it's okay to have vegan things. It's okay to do the vegan diet every once in the blue moon. You know what I mean? And then go back to what you normally would do, or just switch it up. That's really what it's about. So a lot of things happened when I was a vegan. My brain chemistry changed. Of course, you're gonna lose weight. I've always been a thin guy, so for me, I did. I was just really slim. You understand what I'm saying? I was really, really, really slim when I was a vegan. But I got to tell you, I felt very healthy. I didn't feel, like I was lacking any nutritions, you understand, or vitamins or things like that. I felt okay because for the most part, I used to just sit in the sun, a lot. I would eat, of course, but for the most part, I would sit in the sun. And I cut out sugar, I cut out salt, and I had a bland, for the most part, a bland vegan diet. And I switched over to raw foods. So I was eating a lot of raw foods too. So, excuse me. So my skin cleared up. It evened out. My eyes were a lot clearer. You know, nails were clear. Just a lot of those things. So that's what I'm saying. There's benefits in that, but you can still reap those same benefits and not have to be 100% vegan. Okay. But I feel like I was doing it in that moment for spiritual reasons. You understand what I'm saying? And I had no knowledge of New Age, and in terms of like how dangerous it is. I had no knowledge of that. You understand what I'm saying? So it just came natural to me to meditate, to do yoga, and the thing is that throughout my life, okay, even when I was in college, I now know today that a lot of the people that were sent my way, a lot of the people who were my mentors, people who helped me throughout um, just the educational system as a whole, and who were trying to propel me into certain areas of my life, I know now that those people were nothing more than, you know, handlers who were supposed to help with conditioning me and grooming me for whatever direction I would go. That's why, they're pissed off, especially today, because they feel like a lot of that is wasted. You understand what I'm saying? Because they invested so much time and so much so-called knowledge into this person. It's like, okay, well, this person cannot use that for anything. I told you guys, I have not been to a Shriner temple. I have not been to a Mason temple. I did not take no damn oath, none of that. So when you see the subtitle, "An Oath Rejected," what I mean by that is that was my birthright, because, and I've made it plain, that my grandfather, okay, was a Mason, okay, and he was a proud one too at that. He was a proud one, okay. He sacrificed all of his children to obtain the wealth that he had. You understand, my father included. And he thought that he can take that to his grave, just like the Egyptians. You understand? And we see what happened to him. Okay. So yeah, I want you guys to understand that I've always known something was up. Okay. I've always known something was up. I just didn't 100% know. Like I said, the grand scheme of things, I really did not. So I still was in darkness. And for the most part, I still was corrupted at that time because, excuse me, y'all, a lot of the things that I was being taught, you understand, by way of my own volition. You understand what I'm saying? I adhered to these things only because I thought that, I was supposed to be, this artist who was supposed to create. You understand? And I've always wanted to be, the type of artist who wanted to create things out of independence. I never wanted anyone having their hands in my putty. Anything that I created, not to say that I cannot do business with anyone or create or be a team player. It's just that when it came to the things that I've cultivated, you understand what I'm saying? I don't want anyone trying to um, take credit for that. I don't want anyone thinking that they can try to reform that. You understand what I've created? So that's what I mean by that. I've wanted to be the creator of my own, fruit, right? That's how it always was for me. And I didn't know at the time that that's what I was preparing myself for, just because I'm just naturally an independent person. I'm an independent thinker. I'm just independent when it comes to all of that. Not to say like I don't need help. It's just that I don't want to burden anyone with that. You see what I'm saying? So I always have to make sure that I'm okay when it comes to what I need. You understand what I'm saying? So that way I won't have to depend on anybody for anything. You get what I'm saying? Not to say that I have pride, because I didn't ask for things. You understand what I'm saying? I have. But my thing is like, I try to do that as less as possible, because what I have is enough and it's sufficient enough for me. Okay. It has to be. And it is. Okay. Because anytime I feel like I have to reach out my hand and ask for from somebody, I feel like that will give a person control over me. And I don't want that. You understand? And that clearly, is in relation to what I've dealt with as a child, dealing with controlling people around me. You understand what I'm saying? So maybe that comes from that. You understand what I'm saying? But also, like I said, I just always had this independent mindset where I don't want to have to depend on anyone for anything, because then if I allow for you to continuously help me, okay, maybe once, maybe twice, I'll pay you back. Because at the end of the day, if I ask for it, I'm never going to ask anybody for anything that I cannot pay back or that I cannot give you back in full or with interest. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Otherwise, I'll just struggle and make do with what I got. You understand? And that's what it's always been with me. So let me just go ahead and get back to the things that I was warped into. Okay. A lot of the mentors and things like that, they were being positioned around me. Okay. And I had no knowledge of this stuff. Okay. I was ignorant to that. That's the reason why a lot of that stuff came so easy to me. And this is what I always talk about, the generational curses. Okay. This cycle of misery on repeat. What was done yesterday is being done today. A lot of the things that you see, folks doing today is not anything new. The reason why is because they have to reinvent themselves. That is to say, the fallen have to reinvent themselves every generation to appeal to those neocentric um, generations at that time. You understand what I'm saying? That's why they'll reword a lot of the things. The truth is in the logos, right? So these neological terms they'll come up with just so that they can appeal to the generation of that epoch, because they're obsessed with wanting you to worship them by any means necessary. Okay, and we know this, but I have to say that. Okay, just to go ahead and lay out the foundation. Okay, so I was made privy to that after the fact. But like I said, all of that stuff came natural to me clearly because of the conditioning, because of the grooming. You understand what I'm saying? And I've made it plain, about the things that I've gone through. I'm not ashamed to say that, I'm a survivor of molestation. I am a survivor of narcissistic abuse. I'm a survivor of SRA, satanic ritual abuse, that definitely did happen to me. Even though, and it's interesting that a lot of people like to easily, you know, say that. They'll allow for that to slip out of their mouth easily. You know what I'm saying? And you know damn well that that didn't happen to you, but you're just taking that out of somebody else's mouth. You understand? It's just crazy. Like I don't understand you people. The ones who get up on here and you guys try to nitpick and take what you want to take from certain people who are in this program, and then you want to use that to embellish your storyline. I don't understand that, because that's not nothing fun to be inhabited by a bunch of devils. And then the fact that you know damn well, we already know that you're inhabited by devils, clearly, because only somebody like that would be willing to sit up here on YouTube and listen to people's testimonies and nitpick and take what you want and then try to embellish that and take on or assume that person's identity like as if it's your own. So we already know, but I don't understand a person who would be willing to have that type of reputation hover over them. You understand what I'm saying? And then bear that shame. I don't understand that. That I will never understand. Okay. So I've made it plain about a lot of that. I believe that what jump started my targeting, what prompted me to be up in here, this program, is my grandfather. At the time, I was taking care of my grandmother, my grandfather. Okay. This was January of 2016. That's when I first moved out and I moved in with my grandmother. We made it. Well, I guess we all came to the consensus that it was necessary for me, because originally I made a pact with my sister and said, okay, well, you know what? We have to go and move in with them because they have no one. My aunt had just passed, which was my dad's sister. And that completed, you understand what I'm saying? All of their children. They had all died. She was the last. So they didn't have anyone except for their grandchildren, which was us four, as they know it or as they would tell it. You understand? Even though I know that I got two brothers on my dad's side, you understand, but my grandfather never claimed them. He swore up and down that that's not my dad's kids. But come on now, I know he's pissed off. I think at him, and he's pissed off at their mother. So I think that's the reason why he continues to keep that wedge between them, and he will not claim them. But we all made a consensus, I guess, to just switch it, because originally I said to my sister, I'll move in with my grandfather, you'll move in with our grandmother. And that was what we had initially came up with. But then when we had gotten together with everybody in the room, everyone basically said that they would appreciate and feel more comfortable with me being the one staying with my grandmother, and then she can go ahead and stay with my grandfather, because my grandfather, even though he had a curved spine and like he had his little ailments and stuff, he still was for the most part driving and moving around and things like that. My grandmother was the one that was in and out of rehab, in and out of the hospital because of the level of ailments that she had. You know, she was epileptic and she stayed with seizures, and she's had multiple aneurysms, total hysterectomies, like, yeah, a lot. So she stayed sick. Okay, she stays. So they said, okay, well, we would feel comfortable with you actually staying here with her because she is a diabetic. Well, all of them were diabetics. That's why I pride myself on being healthy, because I don't want any of that, and I don't. But everyone was a diabetic, pretty much. As far as the adults on my dad's side of the family, everybody was pretty much a diabetic. So they said we would want for you to give her the shots. That was my very first time administering any type of shots to anybody. And I said, okay, cool. I agreed to it. It was fine. Lots of things, let me fast forward, was happening. I told you guys that already, that I did not see. But in the midst of all of that, mind you, had already, left college. A lot of stuff didn't happen. That's when I was living in Hollywood. And this is before all of that, okay? And I'm gonna go back, but there was a lot going on, okay? A lot. When I moved to Hollywood in 2010, okay, or 11. I want to say 10 to 11. When I moved to Hollywood, I went to this conservatory college, okay? It was an art school on Yucca and Vine. I've made that plain. You can look that up and see exactly where that is. Um, I stayed there, and I was only there for like a year. Okay, I was only there for like a year, 2 semesters. I didn't even get to my third semester, so I was only there for a year. Okay, a lot was happening while I was there. There was a lot of recruiters. There was a lot happening. You understand what I'm saying? And like I said, I was the type of person who's independent, so I didn't know that I was preparing myself for an independent uh, potential career in that industry, but that's exactly what I was doing. You understand what I'm saying? I was doing the job searching, even though for some odd reason I couldn't get a lot of the mainstream jobs. And it's weird because it's like, even though they would approach me to come and audition for them, like something would happen and I wouldn't be able to go. I wouldn't be able to go. I'd oversleep, or something would happen. Like I wouldn't go. Like something would happen, or they'll renege, I'll renege. Something would happen. Like I would not go. So a lot of the jobs that I was doing then, it was just independent contracts that I was signing. You understand what I'm saying? By way of me finding those jobs just for the day and accepting, a pay that day, whether it be cash, whether it be, a digital payment, whatever the case may be, or check, because they were still doing checks then too. So the whole digital payment didn't come until a little bit later. So they were still doing checks, or they'll pay in cash, right? So that's how it was. But I was the one finding myself these jobs, or I would hear about these jobs by way of by word of mouth, right? And then I would go, and those still would be independent contractually, binded jobs where they would pay you the same day, and that's what you signed for. That's exactly what you signed up for. Okay, so there was a lot going on. There's different parties and things like that folks would invite me to. I would never go. I swear on my life, I've never been to any of those damn parties in Hollywood, even though I've lived there, And I lived on site on campus. I lived on Yucca and Vine, which was literally a few steps away from the school. Right? It was just a few, I want to say just a few buildings away, actually. Just a few buildings away. Because the place that I stayed in was it was previously a convalescent home. It was a convalescent home, and that's what they turned one of the dormitories into. Because then there was another one that was in Rosewood. There was another one that was on Franklin. There was another one that was on what's Cahuenga, and then they had some on site, which was called the bungalows, and I believe that was it. And then after that, I believe all the other ones were not connected to the school. I think just a lot of those kids commuted, You know, they were staying in their own little apartments that was nearby and stuff like that. So that's what that was about. But nonetheless, that's where I was. It was called All View. That's what it was. That's where I stayed, in that building. And there was a lot going on even then. Uh, Certain jobs that I would be looking into, you know, they would be very vague in terms of their description, what they were looking for and things like that. And I told you guys that around that time, you know, thing ethnically ambiguous, that was like really a big thing. It still is now, but you know, you'll see that on casting calls. You'll see them say we're looking for ethnically ambiguous. That just became like so much a thing. Like I started seeing that a lot, maybe like in 2015, I want to say. That's when I first started seeing that a lot. Because before then, they used to be very plain on what they wanted, whether you were black, whether you were white, whether you were Hispanic, you know, if they were looking for someone ethnic, they'll just say ethnic. You understand what I'm saying? But now today it's ethnically ambiguous, but we know that means mixed. You understand what I'm saying? So that was very interesting. So, you know, a lot of those castings, like everyone would pretty much apply to those castings, and that's what goes on. You know, so I was never, like I said, I was never anyone who was mainstream. I think that that's exactly what they were trying to get me to do and be was mainstream, and the Most High just had His hand still fully on me, like gripping me. You understand? To the point where, like I said, there were certain jobs, that opportunities that were coming my way, and I either A did not get picked for them, or B, you understand what I'm saying? Somehow they just never came, they never sufficed. They never came into fruition for me. You know, like I said, something would happen. But I was for sure enough uh bombarded with recruiters, because that's what happens. So I met this Russian woman, her name was Olga Sokolova Popova. Okay. And she I saw her when I was in the cafe, right? Just talking to a few friends, right? In the cafe at the time. And then I see this woman, I spot her, and she's in the corner. The light is dimmed, you know, and it was a pretty shaggy and very modern cafe, right? Urban as hell. So that's the kind of, I guess you can say, vibe that they had. And she's just sitting there under that dim light in the corner. And I saw her, and she made eye contact with me as well. So I could tell that this woman was sitting there watching me. And I was like, okay, what the hell is this woman watching me for? Okay, okay, what the hell is this? This is kind of weird, whatever. All right. And she was, of course, very beautiful woman. You know what I mean? Like that, you can't deny. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know how we began to talk. She approached me. I did not go and seek her. So she approached me. And after that, it was kind of history. You know what I mean? She had just came to the States from Mexico. She was on a work visa, and she was going to that school. I made it plain in the past that she was one of the best people there. I said one of the best people. She wasn't the best person there, but she was one of the best people who had some of the best technique at that school. You could not deny that, because she was very seasoned, but she had a history, or should I say, background in gymnastics. Okay, that was her thing, but it was kind of formed or intertwined with classical ballet training and things like that. Like you can see that because she danced with companies and things like that all over Europe. So she's well known over there. She's from Vladivostok, Russia, and it's a small little town over there in Russia. You understand what I'm saying? That's where she was from. And like I said, it was history from that point on. I had no idea that this woman they sent was literally the recruiter. Because I was naive. I was 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? I'm 18 years old. You know, I'm just having fun, you know, trying to, you know, just be an artist. And me, I wasn't that type of person, even though I was naive. I think the Most High that my naivety only ran so far, because if I was that dumb, you understand what I'm saying, and that famished to become something in that industry and be willing to do any and everything to get it, I'd be dead a long time ago. Okay, I would. Like I would not be sitting up here talking to you guys about this stuff. I'd be dead a long time ago, and they would have gotten their sacrifice a long time ago. It wouldn't even be the thing. So, this woman though, she would swear up and down that she was against the system and things like that. Cause that's the shit that I was talking. Like I came into Hollywood talking that stuff. Like I went to the school was saying all that. Like I wanted like, anything that I created, it was centered around, you understand, me exclaiming about the injustice. You understand what I'm saying? I would talk about, demons, and I was talking about, the Illuminati and things like that. Even though I wouldn't, I would say that I was not 100% well briefed about it. But you have to understand that where would all of that stuff be coming from? You understand what I'm saying? Where would all that be coming from? So, and let me just go fast forward to the future. When I was in New Orleans, that's why they would say things like, "Oh, well, they trained him well, this and that." At that time, I didn't understand what they were talking about, but now I know. Now I know what they were saying. You understand? Now I know, and that's the grooming thing. You understand what I'm saying? That's the grooming thing. So it was just interesting. I came in talking that rhetoric, right, according to them, and my mouth was just, they thought, okay, well, yeah, we have to hurry up and just get him. I know now, like they were like, yeah, we have to hurry up and just get him because this is a person that clearly is already resisting, and he's already talking resisting type of behavior, right? This is what he's spewing. And they felt like, oh, well, this is stuff that I didn't know too much about to even be saying things like that. So she was trying to pretend like as if she was against it too. And that was going to be our thing, was like we were going to pair up and we were going to eventually start our own repertoire, our own company and things like that. And we were going to recruit other people who had the same values and, you know, um, morals in mind. And we were going to go, and have this troop and go around and just kind of talk about that through art. Lo and behold, it did not work like that. A lot of things started happening. The woman was doing witchcraft on me. It came to find out, you understand, that's the reason why I had this suicide attempt on campus. Now, I know the enemy was trying to get rid of me then. You see, but I didn't know that. I had no, how could I know that? You understand, when I was dead in sin? How could I know that? And I just thank the Most High, I'm telling you, like for real. If it was not for the Most High pulling me back, you understand, having that grapple on me, I'd be gone. I'd be gone, and they would have their sacrifice. But now I understand why Satan tried to get me to kill myself on campus while I was in Hollywood, because then they wanted their sacrifice. Then they were trying to unalive me then at that school, and I had no knowledge that this woman was doing witchcraft on me. You understand what I'm saying? That's the reason why everyone in my family, when they met her, they all, had a raised eyebrow about her. Like what the hell? Like this woman is weird. And then they were pissed off too, I feel like, in looking at me side eye because for one, this woman is Russia. So that's one of the United States' biggest enemies. So, I really feel like that contributes to the reason why also these people cannot stand me, because she did teach me a little bit of Russian, and I do remember it. You understand? And I've learned it on my own. I'm not 100% fluid in it, but I can hold a conversation. Like I can converse with someone uh, who is Russian or of that Slavic sort of descent. So that's another thing. And she told me things. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that all of those things was true or that I believed it. But she revealed to me certain things. You understand what I'm saying? I met a lot of people through her. She met a lot of people through me as well. I'm talking about jobs wise. I provided her with more job opportunities than she provided me. You understand what I'm saying? But make no mistake about it. I was around some of these people, or I've been in the same space of these people, but I was never the type of person, and this is what I'm saying. This is another reason why they couldn't stand me, because I was never the type of person who was going to just do anything to get along. I wasn't going to say anything just for a person to like me. That just was not me, and it's not me today. You understand what I'm saying? I just wanted to create art, and I wanted to do it organically. and I wanted to do it honestly, and I wanted people to get something from it. You understand? And I did not want to sell out to create it or to become famous. That was not my big thing. And that's why they never meshed with me and they could never accept me. That's why they were keen on trying to unalive me as quickly as possible. Fast forward, that happened. I left the school. Well, they banished me from the school. And funny enough, she actually left before me, though. So that's why I'm telling you that she did witchcraft on me before. Um, well, she was doing it before she actually left because she ended up fracturing her ankle during a live performance. Okay, we all was doing this performance together. During a live performance, she fractured her ankle. Okay, and then after that, it was this big thing. Like she made a big spectacle about it, thinking that everybody was doing witchcraft on her, or someone wanted that to happen to her, what the case may be. But the truth is that lady, you were the one who was foul. Okay, so she left. She pulled out of the program and she wanted me to leave, but I did not want to leave. You know what I mean? Like my grandfather, he endorsed the loan, so I'm not about to waste this man's money, you know, and I was there for my own reasons. You know, I wanted to get my degree in this so I can go and work and do whatever it is that I was going to do. So I'm not going to leave, you know, but she was pressuring me to leave. And oh, we can start our own company. We can do this, we can do that. You understand what I'm saying? Like putting these dreams in my head that I didn't have for myself, right? And these short-term, long-term goals for her or for us, quote unquote, right? As a pair or as a dyad. But I did not want to do any of that stuff. That wasn't in my heart. So I could tell like that's when I started getting very, very agitated. This is like, I want to say like a couple of weeks after she had left. And I didn't know that this woman was doing witchcraft on me. Because had I known, you know, and I was privy to all that stuff, um, I would have been like cut ties with her. You understand what I'm saying? I would have been done that, but I had to learn. So a lot of stuff started happening. I didn't want to be there anymore. You know, things started getting. I start falling out of love with. Well, not so much out of love with dance, but it's like I got so agitated about being in Hollywood. I didn't want to be there. Like I hated it, and I don't think it was so much just her doing witchcraft. I think that that was also the Most High putting it into my spirit to actually get the hell up out of that school and just out of Hollywood. Period. But I just didn't understand it. Like I still was trying to stay, and then of course she was doing witchcraft upon me, and then of course the Most High was trying to get me out of all of that, away from her, away from Hollywood, away from that school, and whatever covenants that I, you know, unknowingly made with certain people, right? So a lot of stuff started happening. I just got very overwhelmed. I tried to call my mother. I talked to my sister. I talked to, you know, some of the men in my family, and I just was trying to let them know, like, I do not want to be here anymore. I want to leave. Let me just take a break. Oh, well, you know, they were pressuring me to stay, you know, and of course that's the reason why, because I feel like my family, like a lot of them, this is just the case with a lot of folks, okay? Especially when you're a talented individual, they see you and they know and see that light and see those gifts in you, and you know they want your gifts corrupted, so they see you ultimately as the person who will potentially be the breadwinner, who would potentially be the person who will um attract all of the attention and the wealth to the family. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I feel like my family was so keen on forcing me to stay, because they're like, well, if you leave, then, you know, we're not going to benefit off of your success. So that's what it's mostly about. And I just did not want to, I didn't buy that. I was pissed off. A lot was going on. So I attempted, you understand? I had my first attempt. Was that my first attempt? Yeah, it was. That was my first attempt of suicide. Okay. And I've made it plain as well. That was my very first attempt of suicide. And of course, they came. I was forced into a psych ward. They were perping me up in there too. Like I didn't know then, but now I know. Like a lot of the stuff that they were saying, the rooms that they put me in, the certain people that they had me around, all of that. You know, um, they were just trying to get me to, like I said, be reintegrated back into the system of slavery, because I was trying to break out of that. I had no knowledge that that's exactly what I was trying to do. But they knew around me. They knew. Okay, they knew. So I was forced into a psych ward. They tried to force me on antipsychotics. I refused all of them because I knew I wasn't crazy. I just didn't understand, the level of trauma that I was under and that I had experienced as a child, and a lot of that stuff showing up, and then the amount of folks around me who's these so-called, loved ones, friends, or mentors who are attempting to force me into these, or let me just say this, they were forcing me to accept the traumas that has happened to me, and then trying to get me to project that out into the world and monopolize off of that, because that's what folks want you to do. They want you to accept the things that has happened to you that are horrid, because then that will allow for the demons that comes along with that to continue to invade your body and use your vessel, and then they can continue to be folks who tether or siphon off of that, so that they can either override your success or they could leech off of your success. But in the end, you are to be sacrificed anyways. So you have to stay corrupted for them to get you. And I didn't know that, but I know that now. Hallelujah. Okay, so that was my first attempt. I went through the psych ward. I was there for 2 weeks in Alhambra. I was, like I said, I was in there with Charlie Wilson's son. He is literally a schizophrenic. And he more than likely is, unfortunately, a byproduct of his father's issues, and him making covenants with devils. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure that's what that's about. I was in there with a woman who worked with Lionsgate. You know what I mean? All of these people were known people, apparently. You understand what I'm saying? And I was, like I said, I was being heavily perped in there, and I didn't know. But I remember like it was yesterday. I remember the people's faces too. All of the people who tried to come and talk to me and things like that. I remember vividly. So I left thinking I can go back to school, because that's where I lived. I lived on campus. So I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. I'm out. I was gone for 2 weeks. All right, I'm about to go. I still have my key. I'm about to go, and lay down or go to my room. So I get out of my sister. I think my sister dropped me off. So I get out of the car. I go walk up to the door, and the security guard is standing there. He waits until I stick my key in the door to snatch the key out of my hands and say, "Oh, well, I'm not welcomed here." I said, "That's bullshit. What do you mean I'm not welcomed here? This is where my grandfather's paying money. I'm paying money to stay here. Are you kidding me? All my things is in there as well. Oh, you need to go and talk to the administrators." Okay, that was fine. I couldn't do it then because it was closed, of course. It was at night. So the next day, I came and I was furious because I'm like, this is not about to happen. Absolutely not. I went upstairs to the housing administrators, and I let it be known. They were all scared because they're like, "Oh wow, he's here officially." Like, you guys thought I was going to be what, entrapped, or you guys thought I was dead? What? No. So they told me that I had to leave because eventually, I talked to the director of the entire program, and he told me that, well, you can prove to us that you're okay mentally. We don't mind allowing for you to come back. So my grandfather had to come, all of that. I had to sign release forms. They had all of that. I had to get my things, and I left. That was the last I was at, and that was in what, 2011 or 12. Okay. Meanwhile, I still had dealings with Olga Sokolova Popova. She didn't go to that school either, so she was livid. Okay. She was happy though. I'm gonna tell you that right now. She was happy. She was happy. She tried to pretend like she was living, but really she was happy, okay, that I had left or gotten kicked out. Because I'm assuming her witchcraft worked or whatever the case may be. But we ended up having this partnership outside of the school, that we both were attending at the time. And we did jobs, like I said, we filmed projects together. I got her jobs, she got me jobs, here and there. And that just was what it was. And then it got to the point where she wanted me to marry her so that she can stay in the States. And, at first I was going to agree to it, but of course I had other people telling me not to do it. And then, just a lot of stuff that I was doing. And then, of course, the bitch was still doing witchcraft on me. Okay. And I didn't know that that's exactly what she was doing. And she was trying to set me up with, I remember there was a specific meeting that we had. And she didn't want me to be a part of the meeting. Like, it was at a Starbucks. It was these two in Hollywood. Okay. Because even though I had left Hollywood and moved back home, I still was frequently going there because that's where the jobs were or the auditions. Okay. So, and it wasn't just in Hollywood, it was in surrounding areas as well. Glendale, San Gabriel, like I had a job that was in Calabasas, just kind of all over the place. But she had this specific meeting with these two guys, and one was Italian, one was like, I think, Armenian, Jewish, whatever. But I could tell that they were Masons. I could tell that they were Masons. And I knew what masonry was. I knew what the signs, what to look for, and all of that. And I always tried to stay away from them people. Not to know that these people were controlling and manipulating. You understand what I'm saying? The jobs that I was getting, the auditions that I was trying to go on, all of that. They were manipulating everything around me, my whole entire environment. They were manipulating. Because, like I said, my grandfather is a Mason. You understand what I'm saying? He used to always say to me, even as a child, to all of us, that if anything happens to you, if you break a finger, nail, if you break a leg, okay, or you fracture yourself, who do you think they're going to call? And he would point at himself and he'll say, me. Because he has life insurance policies out on us. And he told me that. He always told us that he had life insurance policies out on us. All of his grandchildren. Of course you did. Because you still want to keep that wealth that you have. And that you've gathered from sacrificing your own children. So you're going to do the same thing that carries over to the next generation. You understand what I'm saying? So I was always destined to be in this program. You understand? I always was. I just was not made known to it. And as long as I was blindly doing the things that they were manipulating around me, you understand what I'm saying? That, for the most part, kept me untouched, quote unquote. You understand? Or, not tortured. But I'm going to tell you like this, though. I've never perped anybody, never took part in nobody's sacrifice, nothing like that. Never been a part of none of that stuff. That's a fact. And I can tell you that. Okay? Never done that. It's always been them trying to seek me. And they've known that I've always resisted because I've never wanted to be a part of that. I've always thought that was detestable. I've always thought that was sick because I've heard the things. You understand what I'm saying? And of course, I was speaking from a place of someone who was a victim of that stuff at the time. I'm a survivor now. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where it was coming from for me. I've always had this fire, this burning desire within me to resist that and to speak out against it. Because I was always, ever since I knew about it or came across the knowledge of that, I despised it. And now I know because it was coming from a place of knowing. You understand? Like it had already happened to me. So, anyways, long story short, I denied her. That's when her real true colors started. And she wanted a quote unquote divorce because we had went through the process of doing the whole marriage license. And that was all done on her part. She had the people, whoever, the rabbi, sign off on it. Now, these are people that I've never met. That was all done on her end. So we didn't even get to make it to immigration or anything like that. But she agreed to pay me $10,000, that of which I rejected because I said, okay, well, I'm not doing this for money. We're business partners. So we're going to make sure that you stay in the States and we do what we had made a pact to do. And that is to start our company, this and that, whatever it is. So you see, like, just, you can't make covenants. You understand what I'm saying? Why covenants is so dangerous. You can't make covenants with devils. And that's just really what it is. So that's another thing. Like, there was just always this dark cloud hovering over me because of the covenant that I had made with her. And like I said, I did it unknowingly. I had no knowledge of that. But it's weird because it's like I knew about the cults. like what I knew about them. I didn't know in depth, but I knew how deep it can go because that's just really what it was. Like I knew about the Illuminati, I knew about all that stuff. And it was just interesting to know that I was a part of that. Not the Illuminati, I'm saying. I was never part of the Illuminati. I'm saying to know that I was in the midst of that stuff or that I was a byproduct of um, Freemasonry. Because the truth is that I never was mainstream. Like, don't nobody know me. Like, stop playing. Come on now. So any of the things, excuse me, any of the things I've done was locally. Um, it was independent. I had friends, you know, who were best friends who were they filmed their own things. Like I knew how to film. We all were writers. You understand what I'm saying? So we pretty much this is before that became like a thing now, where people are now, you understand what I'm saying, writing their own material, producing it, and filming it. You understand what I'm saying? Before folks was not doing that then. We were struggling doing that, the best way that we could, and we still have friends, folks who was going to the art institute. We were just doing this stuff ourselves. So that's just really what it was. And I'm not talking about Olga. I'm talking about after her. Because this is post Olga. So back to her though. We unabridged from one another. She did the divorce, that of which she paid for, of course, because it was for you. I had the divorce papers sent to me, the desolation papers and things like that, all of that. And that was a wrap. Okay, it was a wrap. And it was interesting because fast forward back to April 2018, when it officially jump started. I told you guys I was taking care of my grandmother, and a lot of stuff was happening there. Lies was being told about me, all that stuff. Like smear campaigns was happening then. I did not know that though, and I did not see that. So this is before April of 2018. So this is 16. So January 21st, 2016 is when my aunt passed. That's when I moved in with them. Okay, the following week. So then I've been there, and I stayed. I left a few times because, like I said, there was a lot going on. So it was like, okay, I got to leave because I'm not about to stick around in all of this mayhem. I had quit my job as a property manager assistant because they were training me to actually be the property manager of Realty Executives, the one in Culver City off of 631. No, not 631, 6100 Bristol Parkway in Culver City. I was there for a while, for about like a year and a half, off and on. Like I was there for like I want to say 2 years, off and on though. Okay. But during the first year, I had to quit just so that I can assume that role full time because I was living there. You know, and like I said, I went back, left the third time. That was it for me. They wanted me gone because it was so much going on. And I had told them, like, this is very, very hard to do. Like, I cannot support myself this way because, for one, I'm not getting the in home support. Your in home support worker is still getting the hours, and they tried to put that on me, but I just didn't want to do that because I'm like, I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I want to do it. But at the end of the day, my grandfather does have the money to pay me, though. That's what I'm saying, though. You have the money to pay me an allowance. You understand what I'm saying? Like you'll do it for your favorite, but you wouldn't do it for me. Okay. So they wanted me gone. I left. The last time I saw my grandfather alive was the night before, because he died the next day, mysteriously, right? Um, he told me the dream that he saw what he saw. He was dead in his casket, and he saw this apparition of, my brother, he thought at that time it was. And he said that apparition was calling out to him, calling his name, and I knew it wasn't my brother because at the end of the day, my brother and I does not refer to him as the person that he's seen referred to him. Or should I say, seen and heard in the dream referred to him as. So I knew that that was my cousin, my aunt's, the one, my late aunt, the last one who died, son. It was him. But the reason why I could not see his identity was because it was being withheld. He was blind. That is to say, my grandfather was. He wouldn't have believed that that was the one who actually killed him. Yeah, he offed him so that he can run off with everything, even though nothing was left with him to him anyways. You understand what I'm saying? But that's the reason why they were doing all this sneaky stuff. I told you guys it was undue influence, fraud, forgery, I tried to put the inheritance in um what is it? Probate. Okay, so I tried to reach out to probate lawyers. I was even reaching out to litigation lawyers to try to help me, put this together. Because I didn't know at the time that that's exactly what happened. But then, as I started to dive deep into it, I went to the recorder's office. I started looking at deeds, and I went to the notary offices, and then I started looking up, all of these notary names, folks who supposedly notarized documents that he filed and things like that. And those were names that were false. Those were ID numbers that were not actually in the notary directory. So I'm like, okay, how is this? How is he able to do all this? And I know he wasn't able to do that, number one. You understand, alone. He was having help. And I knew that because he doesn't know anything about real estate. That's my shit. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I was doing. So I had a friend pull an MLS report. They pulled the MLS report, you understand? So I saw everything. I saw everything. And I had to, of course, protect her identity by redacting her escrow number. And I did that. You understand what I'm saying? So I knew. And I started saying, okay, cool. Something is fishy going on, because the fact that I cannot put this into probate and then there's no lawyers that I can get to take the case. It was like they were being overridden, or they would say they'll call me back, never would. I have to call them back. They'll never answer the phone. Like, it was like they were being compromised instantly. And I did not understand that. So this was going on all the way up to through March. That's why I say late March to April. Okay. Because then by that point, I had already made my way on the property of my grandfather's property. And I had talked to a lot of the tenants who were tenants of his for over 10 years, and they knew what was going on, that something was wrong, because it was all types of people that they were seeing coming to pick up rent. I could have went and picked up rent, or my brother could have went and picked up rent, or my sister could have went and picked up rent. And they couldn't have denied us, because at the end of the day, that is our grandfather and we're entitled to that. Especially my brother and I, because we're the only ones who actually have the family name. We're the only two still living, along with my other two brothers. But of course, they don't claim them. But see, they were so quote unquote smart enough to add them when you guys rejected them anyways. But you knew that they had the family last name, but you were dumb enough to try to show someone a revised fake copy of the living trust and or will. And my sister doesn't even have the last name. So that's when I knew already it was a faulty document, because she doesn't have that last name. Her last name is my mother's last name. So why would you even say that? So that means that you were never left anything. You were never left anything. But hey, look, I'm glad that the Most High didn't allow for me to have that, because he showed me that, yes, I am entitled to that inheritance. That's why I told you guys the subtitle of this is An Oath Rejected. At the end of the day, that's another reason why they can't stand me, because they feel like, oh, well, it was your birthright. You know, you were supposed to be the one who was supposed to inherit your grandfather's wealth. But in order to inherit that wealth, that cursed loot, right, I would have to assume Freemasonry. And that's why, if we go back and what I've told you guys, I gave you guys a little bit of a summation of what I've been through. That's the reason why they were trying to groom me to go into that realm. But they knew I wasn't willing to do that, because I was resisting them then. And I was already talking about all that bullshit I didn't want to be a part of. And I wasn't going to sell out for. You understand what I'm saying? So I already had a bold spirit, and I knew better. I knew better. You understand what I'm saying? I just knew better. I did. Within. I didn't know the extent of it, but I did. Despite, all of the meditation and things like that, and like I said, those are all things that were told to me. You understand? Oh, maybe you need to meditate. Maybe you need to do this. Maybe you need to do that. Maybe you need to do this. Maybe you need to do that. You know what I mean? So I'm not thinking any of this stuff is harmless, me opening up my third eye. And that's why I caution everybody who's doing that. You need to think twice about doing that. Now, if you already did embarked on that, I can't tell you nothing but to repent and be made whole, because you got demons in you if your third eye is open. So anybody who says that type of stuff, oh, my third eye is open, that's not a good thing. Okay. And the pineal gland and the third eye is completely different. Okay. And that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not going to go into a debate with nobody about that, because at the end of the day, we already know what it is, and y'all know what it is. Okay. I'm not going to get into that I Horus BS, because I didn't already talked about that. If that's what y'all like and that's what y'all want to do, great. You're talking to somebody who's already been there and done that. I told you that. Opening up your third eye makes your vessel vulnerable to demonic possession. You will have multiple demons upon you. Sitting up there sunbathing and getting light codes and all that type of stuff. Yeah, we already know what it is. That's what that is. Okay? That's what that is. So they were pissed off because, and they're still pissed off because they feel like, well, man, we really could have had your brilliant mind, because that's all they say. I'm not boasting. I'm only telling you what these people say. You really could have had your brilliant mind. What a waste. Why? Because you guys can use me for the kingdom of darkness? No. No. And like I said, I was never mainstream, so I didn't do any of that stuff. None of that. You understand what I'm saying? They were trying to groom me to be that. You understand? They tried to get me to write. For them, I never did. They tried to get me to choreograph. Wouldn't do that. You understand what I'm saying? And it's the little things. Like it's very subtle how they try to get you to do that. Don't get it twisted. It's not like on the nose type of stuff. They have to try to trick you into that stuff. And I told you it would be vague, taglines, when it came to their job opportunities of recruiting. Be very, very vague, very subtle. You understand what I'm saying? They wouldn't go into detail about what you will be doing at the audition, if that's what it was. But see, like I said, I never showed up to any of that stuff. Never. It's like all that stuff was being overridden. Didn't know why, didn't know how. It just was. And then I wasn't the person who gave a damn. You know what I mean? I wasn't pissed. Of course I was like, oh man, I see all these like suck ass people who just are talentless. Like these people like are doing the most. I'm like, why? How come I'm not being noticed? And I know I got the juice, and it just wasn't happening for me. And you know what? I thank the Most High for it, because today I would never want to monopolize off of his gifts, because I don't want the gifts that he's given me to be corrupted, and I don't want the kingdom of darkness to use them. And that's just really what it's about. Okay. So me rejecting the oath, because like I said, the oath is not something that is served to you on a platter in your face. It is, but it's glossed over as well. So it's sneakily done. You understand what I'm saying? To them, they're more like they're going to give you a buffet, and they're going to have you choose and pick. You understand what I'm saying? Or make you believe that you're choosing and picking, or you're making your own decision. And of course, it's going to ultimately come down to you saying yes or no. But they'll make you think like choosing less of a portion to do business with them is somehow still protecting yourself, because you didn't take, a full course meal, right? Or you didn't eat plenty when you were offered it. You only took a nibble of it, like that type of stuff. That's how they trick people, though. When the idea is that scripture tells you not to eat of their delicacies at all. And I'm telling you that because that's literal and that is figuratively. It tells you not to eat of their delicacies, right? Don't eat of the portion of Satan and his angels. You shouldn't do that, right? Like I keep saying, like, this is my analogy of what happened. Like I went into the examination room, the board of directors, i.e. the fallen, right? Or the fallen uh puppets that they use, right? I went in there into the examination room. They showed me how to play the game, pretty much. And like I said, all this was figuratively done. It wasn't literal. You understand what I'm saying? Like they're not going to come out flat out and tell you, like, hey, guess what? We're agents of Satan. You understand what I'm saying? We worship false gods and we want you on our team. And the only way we can get you is for you to sell out. You have to take this oath and do all this madness, this craziness, this horde shit, so that you can come up higher, which is really go down lower, so that we can gain ranking shit in the demonic realm. You understand what I'm saying? But you'll get all of this, the world. That's what they'll offer you. So that all is figuratively done. So I guarantee you, if you talk to a lot of these people who didn't sold out and they have all of this monetary gain, they have the world, right? They won't tell you that they came to you direct. They Satan or the fallen came to them directly and offered them this straightforwardly. It was always done subtly. They were always tricked into doing it. You understand? Because Satan know what you want underneath. You know how you like it, all of that. So I went into the examination room. They showed me how to play the game. I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door. Still standing in the door sill though. And they showed me how to play the game. And they asked me, "Are you ready to play now?" Before I can even answer yes or no, you understand? The Most High snatched me up, slammed the door, and that was the end of it. Like I said, it was figuratively though. But don't get it twisted. They've sent many people in the form of a fae to try to recruit me and try to get me to sign contracts, things like that, that will bind me. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, they came, but like I said, it's subtle. They're not going to come flat out. That's why it's called wolves in sheep's clothing for a reason. Okay? It says that in scripture for a reason. Okay? So absolutely I rejected it because they feel like that was supposed to be my birthright. And I turned it down. I'm actually a Hollins. That's my last name. My legal slave government last name, right? Is Hollins, not Collins, but like Collins, but with an H. Okay. And I'm the firstborn, and technically my brother is too. You know, I'm only the oldest by 1 minute. We're literally 1 minute apart because my mom had a cesarean operation on us. So yeah, they feel like I rejected them. I told them where the hell to go, guns blazing. You understand what I'm saying? And I still am, still to this day, I'm gonna hold true to that. I don't want no parts of y'all. Like y'all didn't try to do all this crazy stuff to me, man. Oh, and I've made it plain. You understand? On my last channel, like you can go on there. Some of those videos are still there. Go to my very first video. Okay, that was when I first came back from New Orleans. Okay, and then you can listen to my testimony on there. It's about the same. I think it's like an hour, maybe even longer. I don't know because I did that on my laptop then. But yeah, that shirt that I have on, that black and red shirt, was all I had. You understand? And it's interesting because that's what they put on the racks, you know, and that's what I could afford at that time. So that's what I had. That's what I kept wearing. That's what I kept going to the shelters to wash when I took showers and stuff. And that's all I wore. So I kept those garments and held on to those garments for a reason because it it was still memorabilia to me, and it was uh, a reminder of, you know, the horror and the sorrow and the amount of suffrage that I was under at that time, and persecution of them trying to sacrifice me. That's the reason why they put me in red, and it was by guess. I think all of that whole entire outfit from head to toe was by guess, minus um the sandals that I had because it was during the summer. So yeah, it was hot, very, very hot. And if anybody's been to the South or is from down South, you know that y'all are by the Gulf. Okay. So the coast, so the Gulf Coast of, you know, New Mexico. So that that type of heat is very wet and sticky. The humidity is very wet and sticky. It's not dry like up here on the West Coast. It's very wet, very sticky, you know, and I'm assuming that's because, you know, y'all are by the Gulf Coast. So it was just really hot. I had those sandals. I think those was by Levi's though. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted, I mean, because all of this is on my channels, you know what I mean? I've talked about it here and there, but I have to keep bringing it up because of a lot of people would think that, somehow this stuff doesn't matter, but it does matter to me because I want all of this documented when it's my time to go. Nobody's going to tell my story for me. And that's the reason why, another reason why my soul refuses to die, because I want to make sure that I document everything, because this is going to bear record for the things that I've gone through, the things that I've experienced. It's going to also bear record and bear light to the fact that I've evolved so much from where I was before, in wisdom, in maturity, in just grace. You understand what I'm saying? I've evolved in just manhood too. Like, it's just so many different things that I understand about myself now, and so many things that I've learned about other folks and the people who hate me. I've learned so much about the enemy. You get what I'm saying? Because, David said that it is good that I am afflicted, because the bad things, like all of the, I'm paraphrasing, the bad things, you'll know that you'll do good if you are afflicted. Like it's a good thing that you get afflicted, because if you're not afflicted, like how would you know that you're doing bad anyways? Like that is basically the the whole purpose of that. You understand what I'm saying? And going through affliction, being tried, and going through the fire, you understand, is you have to be afflicted, because that's going to keep you in the way. It will. You understand what I'm saying? Because who wants to go through affliction? Like, who wants to deal with that? No one does. No one does. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm actually glad. So when I say I've learned from them, is I've learned what not to do. You understand? And I've learned uh that type of darkness that exists in everybody, you understand, I cannot give way to. And you do give way to that darkness, that dualistic nature within you, which is the flesh in you, the lower nature of us, right? Because that wrestles against your spirit, man. So we give way to that when we sin. We give way to that when we get in our flesh, and when we allow for these um fallen angel spawn spirits to pervade our minds, or should I say our bodies, right? But that's where they reside, is in your mind. Because like I told you, they live in the space of our imaginations. I'm done. Um, I didn't say what I had to say. You understand what I'm saying? I think it's interesting because when you talk about your testimony and things like that, when you start revealing stuff like that, a lot of people run. You understand? They want to hear you talk about nothingness. Yeah. But we already know how it is. And like I said, I'm not looking for anybody to be a friend of mine or anything like that. The real ones know who I am. I know who you are, because I know you by spirit. Because at the end of the day, I know your spirit is familiar to me, because we are all pulling from that number one source of the limitless, the immortal, the sublime, the alpha, the omega, the beginning, the end. You understand what I'm saying? The Most High of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You understand? That's where we're pulling from. So you'll know me. I know you. I don't owe you. Don't owe me a nothing. You understand what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, because I'm gonna see you either way, and in the kingdom, y'all say the same. And we gonna rock. We gonna laugh. We gonna joke about this mess. Like, remember when they was doing this to us? Remember when they thought that they had us like this? That's why scripture says that the righteous are going to sit and see, they're going to say, this is the man that had us scared. This is the man that had us in darkness. This is little old shriveled up thing. This one right here. Hmm. So I'm done. I don't need to go into detail about anything else. I think it stands. I probably won't. I'll reference, like my testimony and things like that, but I just wanted to revisit it just to let you guys know um, where I'm coming from. You understand what I'm saying? This is just something that I've always been talking about nonstop. My story has never changed. It's not going to change. I'm not going to add. I'm not going to take away. It remains intact. Okay. So this is going to, like I say, bear record of everything that I've gone through when the Most High allows for me to be taken up out of here. Okay. And that's just it. And that's all. Peace and blessings to my people scattered across the four corners of the earth and to the stranger who has maligned themselves with us. All you got is your testimony, folks. So I suggest you keep on telling it, because that's what scripture says, that the saints will win him over with their testimony. What is the testimony? The testimony is the gift of prophecy, right? The testimony of Hamashiach, right? I'm done. Shalom to you guys.